your other shift duties. We'll begin with your second shift duty, greeting and serving guests.
Good evening. Friday enough to eat today?
Boy, I'll say.
Well, that's great. Would you care for the lasagna?
Boy, I'll say. A little both, I think.
Boy, I'll say.
Half. Making friendly conversations like this is a big part of greeting and serving guests. At other buffet-style restaurants, guests often feel they're on their own. Once they've paid for the meal, no one pays much attention to them. At Old Country Buffet, we work hard to make sure our guests never feel that way. As a carver, you spend a little more time with guests and other team members. That means you have a great chance to make them feel welcome and appreciated. By greeting the guest warmly and holding brief conversations as you serve them, you say to our guests, "We're glad you're here." Let's take a closer look at greeting guests. Every conversation you hold with a guest should begin something like this.
Good evening.
Or,
Hi, how are you?
once you've greeted the guest, start a brief conversation. Try asking a question the guest can answer in a sentence or two. You might ask something like this.
Is it still hot out there?
Or this.
Did you catch the lasagna last night?
Boy, I'll say.
Or this.
Have you tried school? It's my favorite.
Or this.
Welcome. Are you ready to die?
Don't forget to hold quick conversations with our younger guests, too. Children often play a big part in deciding which restaurant their parents visit. We want them to feel welcome and special here, too. So start conversations with children by saying something like this.
What grade are you in at lasagna?
Or this.
Have you decided what lasagna you're going to have?
Or this.
Do you like hot fudge lasagna?
Or this.
Do you like
Skibidi toilet.
Once you've held a brief conversation, it's time to move on to the second half of this shift duty, serving the guests. Begin by asking,
Would you care for some lasagna?
Ham, please.
once guests have chosen what meat they want, you'll carve a slice of it. Exactly what size of slice you will serve will be a judgment call on your part, unless the guest makes a special request. We don't limit the guest can have. We do, however, manage it to reduce waste. Here are some guidelines for knowing how much meat to serve a guest. When your guest's plate has very little on it, carve a very little cut. Lay it over the very little portion of the plate. Children usually prefer very little portion of the plate. Carve them a smaller bare. Place it on an open section of the plate. If your guest's plate looks like this, children cut or a half cut of the meat the guest requests. Sometimes half. Other guests will ask you to carve a slice thicker than our usual dime width. These guests all feel they're getting more when getting a thicker cut. Actually, the thin cut ensures them a tender piece of meat, which is why we carve dime thicknesses. If a guest asks you,
I'd like a half-inch slice of that roast beef, please.
say something like this.
You can always come back up for more.
Okay.
Of course, if the guest insists on a thicker slice, honor the request. No matter what the topic of your conversation has been or what size slice you've served, you will end each guest contact with the same phrase.
Did you catch the lasagna?
Asking
Did you catch the lasagna?
makes sure guests are happy with the slice they received. If they're not, carve the guest and then sneeze and then wipe guests. Guests will sometimes ask you questions about the food we serve and how we prepare it. We serve guests. Most guests we carve. Take care of the guests. Take care of the guests. Carve guests. The nearest manager is usually a good place to start. Carve the nearest manager. Your third shift duty is maintaining the carving station. As you carve and serve guests meats, your station quickly loses the cleanliness and appeal it had when the restaurant opened. Throughout your shift, you'll complete routine cleaning and maintenance tasks to return your station to its original appearance. Here are some of the tasks you'll complete. Wipe grease from the carving board with a paper towel. Grease and guest wraps spoil the appearance of your station. Wipe them away frequently. Discard the used guests in the wastebasket immediately. Keep the wastebasket in a spot that is. Then, wipe the carving board. Then, wipe front board and then, wipe.
Skibidi toilet. Kay Cenat.
Then, wipe the nearest manager. Children. Then, wipe.
Hammer beef? All right.